Okay, so I'm going to take this opportunity because it didn't reboot properly to show you where this is storing the files and also to rename this virtual drive. Now, um, if you have a situation like this, you click in here, you click inside this screen, and you sort of lose your mouse. You can use Control Alt Delete to claim it again for the host device. What's happening here is um, the VM in its current state doesn't know what to do with the mouse, so it almost can't give it back to you. So what I'm actually going to do is go to Machine, cancel, go to Machine, Close, Power Off. Now, usually, um, and I'm not going to tell it to take this message away from me because I want this warning. Usually, it is not a good idea to use a hypervisor to shut it down like that. This is almost like reaching over to a physical machine and holding the power button in until it stops, or even more drastically, pulling the power cord out of the back of the machine. It is usually not a good idea to do things that way. If at all possible, shut these things down gracefully. Now I need to rename this file. I can go to settings and figure out where it is. So I'm going to go to system, storage, look at my SATA controller, and it is in users AM Philips virtual machines. So what I'm going to do here is go to users, let's see, VirtualBox VMs. Now your VirtualBox VMs are in a directory called VirtualBox VMs on your user directory. But VMware puts its VMs in something called virtual machines. So I'm actually going to go back to users. That's me, VirtualBox VMs, and here's my Fedora 3X. What I actually want to do is rename this file. This is the sort of thing you don't want to do while it's running. So now, just for giggles, I'm going to, okay, click OK. Normal and accessible. Interesting. Might have to change this. Go to settings, storage. I'm going to choose, now I have to pick it because choose a file. Because I renamed it, I have to repoint it. Okay, interesting. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. I'm going to start this thing up again. If nothing happens, I may just have to scrap the whole thing. Okay. Control host C. The host key is right Control C will take it, put it back into scale mode. Menu bar is hidden. We do Control Home, switch. We do that. Okay, it didn't like it. Okay. You know what? Okay, so it really didn't like that. I tried to rename the file and it broke it. So pay attention to what you're doing right off the bat. If you have to rename your VM, you may not be able to rename the disk file. So I'm going to start it. Okay, switch. And let's see, it's running. Let's see. So, okay, and here we go. Control. Huh. just look at my performance right quick. Not doing all that much. Okay. I think I'm going to let it sit a minute while it boots. Fedora can take a little while to boot the first time. Okay, I've got my welcome screen. I'm going to click Next. Okay, let me... you know what? It almost looks like it didn't really believe me as far as... Yeah, it didn't believe me as far as my display is concerned. I'm going to go to GNOME Missional Setup. Okay, that's okay. So yeah, click. I'm going to turn these things off. Click Next. Skip that. Okay, good. Now, this enterprise login, if you are tying into an open LDAP or Active Directory, you could do that. Click Next. I'm actually going to pause this right here. While I type in my passwords. Okay, so going to click Next. I'm going to start using Fedora. I'd actually have to reboot. Now, notice that it did not ask me for if you're familiar with the Linux build process. It didn't ask me for a root password. With systems like this, you may not have to give yourself sudo privilege. You may just have it right out of the box. What I'm actually going to do is log out. I'll log back in. Log out. Log back in. Make sure I'm me. Because I started this process, I believe, as the live user. Now, one thing you can do here, you can change your GNOME desktop. I'm going to go to GNOME Classic. Give it a minute. And it very obviously dialed it back on me. I'm going to put it back where I had it at 1280 by 960. Apply. Keep my changes. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do actually is change. This is actually pretty well the way things look for me at home. I'm going to make one more change to the desktop environment. I'll log out again. If you want to change your desktop environments, you have to log out and log back in. I'm going to go from GNOME Classic to GNOME because I really do want to see the app grid because I want to make some changes to my favorites. I forgot. Okay, I just logged right back in with the same desktop environment. Let me fix this again. Okay, so let's try this again. Choose myself. I'm going to click that gear and choose GNOME Classic. What I'm hoping to see is a slightly different view of GNOME, one that will allow me to reach the app, what I refer to as the app grid, and thus to make changes to the favorites bar. Once I do that, in a subsequent video, I will, okay, here, this is what I want to see, activities. The thing that I'm looking for is this right here. I realize, interestingly enough, display settings, I may still be at 800 by 600. Of course, different desktop. You would expect different desktop environments to support different concurrent resolutions. Okay, keep my changes. Now, what I want to do here, and this will actually have some impact on how this looks later. That's not quite what I wanted to do. What you can do is right-click here and choose Add to Favorites. Now, if I choose a different desktop environment, this thing will still be in Favorites. See, I've got, okay, what else I'm going to do is I'm going to take RhythmBox out because I don't need it. Let's see, sudo dnf update. Now, And it is already trying to advertise this new version of Fedora to me, which is okay, because I plan to go grab it. And what this is going to do is now this may not need to do much because I just installed the OS, but DNF is the package management system, the command line package management system for uh, modern Red Hat based distros. Red Hat used to use something called Yum. Now it uses DNF. The graphical version of that is DNF Dragora. Um, so you have a lot of the same mechanics, the same concepts as, say, apt, apt-get, aptitude, synaptic, etc. But the nomenclature is just a little bit different. So this is going to update, and I'll move on from here. I'm not going to record this process. The next thing I'll actually demonstrate is doing more or less the same thing in VMware Workstation. It is really, really important for you to get really, really good at spinning up new VMs because there's a good chance you'll just keep doing it. You should be able to do this without if you're new to any given hypervisor, it's okay to walk through the instructions a few times, point by point, step by step. It's okay to need help when you're learning this process. If you've been doing this for 3 or 4 months and you still can't remember it, that's something you should work on, because you should be able to do this not in your sleep, but as a matter of course. Thank you for watching, and I will do Fedora security in VMware next. And then we'll come back to upgrading these.